All right, so here's the situation. Some friends and I decided to go backcountry snowboarding, and like a dummy, I did not pack my beacon, my GPS beacon, and I don't have cell signal here. Now the problem is the sun is going down, and I'm not sure where where the closest safety is. So if you look down that way, I've got about a 35 to 45 degree drop off going down the hill, and if you look back up that way, I've got about the same. Now, yeah, I just hiked the closest safety. The problem is this snow right now is about 18 inches to 2 feet deep, and it is burning a lot of calories to try to hike through it. So I'm making the decision to stay here because I found a little windbreak with the trees. I'm not seeing any widowmakers around me. And if I go down that way, I think I'm getting further away from my group. So the decision I'm making right now is that the thing that's going to be best for me is to hunker down for the night, take an unplanned camping trip, get a fire going, both for warmth, comfort, and a signal, and then wait it out till the morning. If no help comes, if I see no choppers, nothing like that, at least I'll be rested and I'll have an idea of the direction to head. Maybe either follow my trail back or try to go down to a water source and follow that down to civilization of some sort. So first things first, I'm burning a lot of calories and I'm starting to sweat. Now, being wet in the winter is a killer. So what I'm gonna do is thermoregulate. I'm gonna open up my layers to try to make sure that I'm not building up a cloud inside my layers. I'm gonna try to tamp down just a small area here to have a more stable surface to work on and to build my fire on. So I'm gonna go ahead and build a little area that's tamped down. My snowboard I could use, but it doesn't have enough weight. It spreads out that weight with the surface area. So I'm just gonna use my feet. Okay, now that I got a level, compacted surface, a lot easier to work on this and move around. So let's go ahead and see what I was smart enough to bring with me. So when I do outdoor activities, whether I'm hiking, snowboarding, anything like that, I like to bring a camelback, obviously for the water bladder feature, but it's a nice tight space, it's not too bulky, and I can pack what I think are essentials. So here's what I got. This is a wool neck gaiter, 100% merino wool. This will be super useful tonight. This helps retain heat even when it's wet. So I've got a wool gaiter. I've got a container to boil some water. My camelback bladder is empty, and as you can see, I've got snow. So if we get a good fire going, I can disinfect and boil some water. I've got my high-vis flamer orange Mora knife that will not get lost in the snow. You can see, watch this. This is why these are so nice. You're not gonna lay that down and not be able to spot it again 2 seconds later. That's nice about the high-vis. Plus this is a Mora, so I don't really care that much if I lose it later. I don't wanna lose it right now, but later's not that big of a deal. Okay, I am a big fan of the Baco Laplander. I have 3 of these. I like to keep one in my car, on my person when I'm going out into the woods. So this will be very helpful. I've got an unused fire kit. I like to keep it in an Altoid tin so that I can create some char cloth if I need to. And then, oh, look at this. This will get me through the night. I've got a fruit snack. I'll savor these little morsels. And it looks like the final thing that I've got in my kit, unless there's some little hidden compartment I haven't checked, is a heavy-duty space blanket with a Mylar inside and a high-vis red on the outside. Again, you can see how much that stands out. So this will be neat to capture heat from the fire. Unfortunately, I'm looking around realizing in my haste to go have some fun in the woods, I didn't pack any string. So it's gonna be hard to hang that. I don't have paracord, seine twine, or string. So we'll have to figure out something else. Okay, these are the tools that I have to work with to get me through the night. Now, this is not my standard go-to. I have one that's been beat up a lot, and that's in my more common pack that I take out. But I'm gonna check what I have in my fire kit here to see what resources I need to gather and what I already have on me to make this fire. So I've got what are often called Ranger band. This is just a section of a bike inner tube that's cut off. They make handy, durable little rubber bands, as well as, because they're petroleum based, they can be a good coal or fire extender because they let the fire burn longer when they burn. So inside my kit, I've got a Fresnel lens in the lid. This would be great if I had sun, but I do not have enough sun to focus into a beam tight enough to start fire. I've got tin foil with, tell me I've got some char cloth in here. No char cloth. Oh, Rusty wasn't prepared. We could potentially make some char cloth. I've got a cotton t-shirt on underneath. If it's a really bad situation, I think I might be able to find some punky wood that I can also coal up to make some coal for a spark. Okay, so tin foil. Oh, this will make things a lot easier. I like taking road bike inner tubes and cutting them into strips and folding them back over the top of a lighter like you would the old sandwich bags. Let's see if I've got any fuel in it. Oh, that's gonna make things a lot easier. Okay, so I've got that ready to rock, but just in case, I've also got a homemade fire starter. I've got some fat wood, I have a ferro rod, and I have a piece of flint. So I've got plenty of resources here to start a living fire that should be no problem to get me through the night. So what I need to do is go find, I've already got tinder. So I need to find small kindling, some medium-sized kindling, and then I've got plenty of fallen dead trees around here that I can get some 2 to 4 inch logs for a fire. Now, one thing is, because I'm on snow, I don't want to start the fire directly on the snow. So I'm going to build a platform with some green wood, if I can find some, that's handy. And then I'm going to build my fire on top of that. That'll help sure the fire actually gets started and it doesn't melt itself by burning down into the snow. So I'm going to go ahead and gather up those materials. Obviously, I don't have an anvil or a workbench or a vise. And to make this a little easier to cut, I'm just going to do something called a plumber's vise. Wrap it behind one knee, crouch down to lock it into place. And then I need about that much of a length. And that holds it steady for me. So I'm gonna do the same thing, just slide it down, lock it into place, find my spot. Right there. So I need about, 4 or 5 more of those. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut those up. So what I'm trying to do is arrange these guys. Now this is scrub oak that's native to the Wasatch Front and Rocky Mountains. So it's good hard wood. The problem is it's very gnarly. That's pretty typical for scrub oak. So I'm just trying to arrange these little green pieces in a way to minimize gaps between them, because I don't want my coals falling through those gaps. So I'm just playing a little bit of forest Tetris right here. Okay. Next, I just need to find some fallen trees, which there are plenty. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab some twigs. Now, you probably have heard this trick before, but if not, I'm gonna tell you. If it doesn't crack, throw it back. So we were grabbing dead wood, because dead wood is gonna burn, whereas green wood is gonna be fighting your fire, which in this kind of situation is not what you want. So I'm just grabbing up, index finger, thumb thickness of this stuff, and I really don't need too much of this. My favorite kind of fire lay is a lean-to, and I'll show you how to make it, but I don't need all that much. In my experience, this is the fastest, easiest fire to make that eliminates a lot of other issues. If you spend your time building a teepee or a log cabin or something like that, then you're spending your time trying to build a little log cabin, and this is just quick, dirty, and effective. So let me get a few more of these. While I was grabbing my kindling, I ran across this fallen log, and I'm not sure what this is. It looks like the scrub oak, But I'm noticing something interesting with the bark. It is acting just like cedar bark. See how stringy and fibrous that is? This will make for a great tinder bundle to get me started. And it's really loose and fibrous to get that little baby flame going. So that was a double score. One of the worst things that can happen when you're trying to build a fire, particularly in a true survival type situation, is to be so excited about getting a fire going that you haven't gathered all the needed supplies first. Oh my goodness, imagine if you spent hours working on a friction fire with a hand drill or a bow drill to finally get a coal going, and then you look around and realize, I don't have the kindling, I don't have the fuel I need for this fire. So all that effort was not just wasted, but had a negative impact because you spent all those calories and energy working on that coal. So one of the biggest keys to success with fire is preparation. Now I would say that that lesson probably applies to almost everything in life, but when you're talking about a legit survival situation, you don't want to mess around. Okay, this is a little damp, but this is what you do. If you get cedar bark and you want to build a bird's nest, this is really fluffy, flaky stuff. You can see it in there. So what I like to do is just kind of twist it up and expose all those fibers. Now this isn't quite as string, or as it doesn't quite have the same tensile strength of cedar bark, but this stuff here, loose and fluffy, that should hold a coal pretty well. Now I don't actually need to do that because I've got my handy lighter. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that on the platform. I'll have this if needed. Now I mentioned just a little bit ago that my favorite kind of fire is a lean-to fire. And how that works, let me actually do a little bit of this if I don't need it. So I'm gonna put this on one side. I'm gonna put a thick log up there, right about like this. And what we're gonna do is get this burning, and then we're gonna use this almost like a ridge pole for a lean-to, like a tent or a shed or anything like that. And we're gonna lean things over the fire base so that all of that heat is equally distributed and it's getting up through the wood, heating it and then igniting it. So we should be good because I've got that lean-to ridge pole sticking the other way. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a fire down in this fluffy stuff going. Now this, I mentioned earlier, this was a little damp. So let me see if I can get this going. Okay, so now I'm gonna baby this. It might be too damp. All right, so in a situation like this, what I would need to do is get this tinder, and I would need to either pack it against my body, do something on it to get it dried out. Now I was hoping that this would be dry enough to catch a flame and sustain it, but it looks like it's just a little too wet. So this is actually good for you to see so you know what it looks like if it's too damp. So it catches a fire at first, that thin stuff, and even if I'm holding it over the top, oh, we might do it. I might have caught a dry enough patch there. All right, so I'm gonna try to insulate that a touch with some more. See if we can get that going. All right, well, in a situation, if you don't have any other resources, you're just gonna have to baby this until you get it going. We're not gonna mess around with it that much. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab, you can see how it's smoldering, but that moisture in there is just not wanting to. Now I could dry this out, I could loosen up all those fibers, but I'm just not gonna take the time to do that right now. So I've got a homemade coal extender here that's essentially a candle. All you gotta do, or I'm sorry, not a coal extender, a fire extender or starter. All you have to do is take a cotton makeup pad and immerse it in melting wax. That's it. I've had one of these burn homemade before, no other accelerant, anything on it. I've had it burn for, I think it was 17 minutes, one of these. So what I like to do is just expose these fibers a little bit. And this is essentially just a self-contained little candle here. So I'm gonna get this stuff out of the way. This would be good to kind of protect the flame at least. And I'm going to go ahead and light this guy. Hopefully we can get a flame on this. Okay, I've got a flame. So I'm going to set that down inside. Oh. And that is going to start. Now what I'm going to do is very carefully, this is why I like a lean-to, I can set some of these pieces over the top and that heat is going to dry this out and then catch the flame. So while that's doing its magic, I'm going to build up on top of it. Now you can see the fire in there still going, and that fire starter still has plenty of life left in it. So now I've got a sure flame that's at least getting me going. Now hopefully I can turn it into a sustainable fire. So I'm going to loosely put things over the top and think of it almost giving that little nascent flame a little hug to get it going in there. It's insulating it from the wind, and it's also allowing all this stuff around it to dry out. Now you can see the smoke, it's driving out all of that moisture. So I'm confident that we're going to build something off this. Now what I'm going to do is, as that's going, I'm going to put my dry twigs on top. Again, lean-to style, very loosely, kind of a haphazardly packed on top. And I still see that flame going in there. So that heat is going to crawl up. It's going to dry these sticks out. And it's eventually going to spring up to life through these twigs. Okay, that wind is giving it just enough oxygen. Carry it through. Give it just a little more. I'm seeing those flames dance up through, so I'm going to make sure that I don't lose my lighter. And we're going to keep building around this. Now, ideally, all the wood that you have is dry and split. That makes a perfect fire. All you got to do is crumple up a newspaper, light it, and away your fire goes. This is pretty much soaked in fresh snow that it's had and been on the ground or freestanding, and it was still wet. So we're trying, it's kind of a fight to get that moisture off of it. Now, if I had an axe with me, I could baton some wood with my knife, but I don't think that's necessary at this point. I think a little more oxygen will be in business. Our fire's getting there, but it's still not out of the woods yet. We're driving off that moisture, but I do think we have a sustainable flame in the heart of this fire. So I'm gonna get a little bit more of this fiber stuff, tuck it down in there just to nurture it, give it some oxygen. Check the other side. Yeah, we're getting some coals started there. Now, these coals are burning very hot. And when you cook, this is actually what you're trying to get to. You're trying to get those coals. So if you're cooking over fire, what you want to do is get this wood all burned down until you've got hot coals that are left. That's a lot more controllable heat. And right now, that heat, oh, it's white hot down in the center, is driving out all of that moisture that you see leaving the wood. And that's going to give us our fire. So I'm confident we have succeeded on our first try here. That's looking good. Now, if you look down in here, you can see that base of coals and heat. And that heat rises. Now, the reason I like the lean-to and any other fire, the way that it works, you start the fire down inside because that as that heat rises, that gets the wood up to ignition temperature. I believe off the top of my head, it's somewhere around 800 degrees Fahrenheit that wood needs to reach in order to ignite and become flame, or at least fuel the flame chemical reaction that's going on. So I think that we are good here. I'm just gonna let this keep coaling up. Now, while this is burning, I am also keeping my eyes on the resources around me, because it took a lot of work to get this going, and I don't want this to die. So I'm looking around, spotting where I've got dead standing wood. That's ideal. I see one right behind us actually, that if I want to build this fire up even more, I can do it. Now, once the flame or once the fire is sustainable and it's not going out, that's when you want to use your time to go ahead and collect other resources, because you know, despite how cozy and comfortable this is right now, it's not going to last through the night. It's going to take a lot of fuel to keep this heat source and light source going through the night. So I'm going to go ahead and gather up some other things, or that's what I would do, so that I have them handy. All right. Now you saw those coals. That is why it's so important to have a base of green wood underneath your fire if you're starting a fire in snow. If that green wood wasn't underneath there, and all green wood is basically live wood. It hasn't dried out. Now, if you've heard of curing wood before, that's usually when you let wood sit out for a year or two for that moisture to naturally leave the wood. So green wood still has that moisture and it is resistant to burning. So by having the base of green wood, those coals aren't immediately burning through down into the snow and then putting the fire out. This platform is helping to build a sustainable fire. And eventually it will get hot and start melting down into the snow, but this at least helps you get it started and controlled. So remember how we put that green wood on the base of the fire? You can see that it is barely burned up at all. It just kind of scorched a little bit, and look at that wood. So, oh, as a matter of fact, look, you can see some of that steam driving out of the end of the cut there. You see that? So that is why you don't want to burn green wood, is because it doesn't burn. You got to drive out all that moisture first. So that's why in a snow, build a base with green wood. Apparently these fruit snacks I was excited about are a little too old. They're like, ouch, they're like little pebbles. Maybe if I roast them a little bit, it'll soften them up. However, we achieved our mission. I've got a nice sustainable fire that's plenty warm. I've got a Mylar shelter that I can hang or put around me, even if I just need to snuggle inside it for the night by a fire. I'm gonna be fine through the night, and I've conserved my energy. I'm camped in a place that has no widow makers. I have lots of freestanding dead wood around me, and I've got the beautiful sound of the wind rushing through the trees, so I'll be just fine through the night. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I hope it was helpful and had good information for you. We're gonna try to roast our little fruit snack, and while I'm doing that, I'd like to give you a invitation to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. The support helps us come out and make fun videos like this. Oh wow, I'm burning my marshmallow, toasted. Anyway, until next time, in OMNIA PARATUS. Right. Well, this is the after party, everybody. It is so nice to get out in the wood. Here, just listen. That's one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, is just that wind rushing through the trees. It's so relaxing. So here's Chris. Chris, say what's up.
Hey guys, how you doing?
All right, so he's the man doing the magic behind the camera. I'm the one doing the dance in front of it. So we've got our fire going here. And just for the heck of it, we're just practicing some skills. You know how that goes. So we've got the stainless steel water bottle here, and got some snow packed in, so we're just melting that, get some training in. So in case you don't know this already, if you get a stainless steel water bottle to put in your kit for a situation just like this, if you need to melt or sanitize water, make sure that you get a single walled stainless steel water bottle. You can do aluminum too. Some people debate on whether aluminum has getting some smoke here. Some people debate on whether aluminum's bad for you in the water. I don't know. People have been using it for years. I use stainless steel, but there's lots of stainless steel bottles on the market that are vacuum sealed. They're double walled. You do not want to put that in the fire. That'll wreck it, potentially cause a little bit of a pop or explosion. But anyway, single walled. This guy's cheap, man. I think I've had this for like a decade. You can look on Amazon. Some are quality, some aren't. I've also got a big clean canteen. I got bunches of bottles, but this one's just a GP I keep in one of my kits, and it's also small. It's about a 24 ounce. Anyway, with all that said, Chris, what was your favorite part of today?
Just being out in the woods.
It's pretty awesome. Any words of wisdom?
Stay safe, go prepared.
All right. As we were driving up to this spot for the shoot, Chris was telling me a pretty funny story that I thought would be fun for you to hear about. Chris, tell us about your friend that got stuck driving in the snow. Now, we're in Utah. We're used to driving in the snow. I've got a 4Runner, 4-wheel drive, locking diff, all that. Chris has a Land Cruiser, but tell us about your buddy with the van.
When I was a kid, I had a friend of mine who was driving his van off-road and got stuck out in San Diego in the mountains and walked probably 4 miles back to my house, woke me up. I was in high school and had me walk back out there and drive his van off the side of the hill. And so it just was a funny story about, you know, off-road, out in the woods, just not being prepared. But it was a good day. It was fun to build this little fire and had a lot of heat.
Fires do that. Okay, well, thanks for hanging out with us a little bit longer. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to put some links to products in the description. Now, I may do another video on this. I might as well mention it now. Some people use different acronyms to remember the things that you should pack on you. Canterbury uses its 5 C's. Other people have used LIVES over the year, an acronym to remember what you should pack in your bag. I came up with an acronym years ago that I like. I think it's a better mnemonic, just my opinion. But I say to pack BRICS in your bag. Let's see if Chris remembers what they are. BRICS.
Let's see. Bicycles, blades, ropes, incendiary devices, handguns.
Handguns.
Go ahead, Russ.
All right.
Fill me in.
Blade, rope, ignition, container, shelter. Now, I like BRICS because you're always told not to pack bricks around in your bag, but hey, this is kind of a fun mnemonic. So blade, rope, ignition, container, shelter. I try to always have that on me as EDC and in every kit, just different size and different variations of it. So anyway, we'll put links to the description, what we recommend, and we'll probably build out a full video on that. Anyway, thanks again for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you next time.